without further ado, I have a very special friend of mine who's actually on the couch today. This has been a long time coming. This young woman has known me since I was about 21, 22. And we've both seen each other grow in many different ways in terms of business ventures, in terms of trying new things, in terms of going back to old things, trying to revamp. But we're here now, and it is an amazing thing. Women's History Month, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, VJK, a.k.a. Miss Valeah, a.k.a. V's Vault. What's going on, Queen?
What's good?
I'm here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So I don't know where to start because you feel like that there's nothing that you can say that's going to possibly be worth talking about, but I think you have a lot to offer people. Being that you're also into the makeup world these days, but prior to that, you're also in our education system. So can you just please tell people a little bit about what you do?
Well, full time, I am a teaching assistant in special education here in New York City.
Okay.
And then part-time, I'm a side hustler.
Okay.
I have a few different hustles going on. But mainly, I'm really passionate about skincare. I'm obsessed with skincare. I love lipstick.
Okay.
I love makeup. And I also sell lipstick and skincare and makeup.
Nice. So putting a little bit of emphasis on the education. So how exactly did you get into being working with special ed students?
Oh my goodness.
And what exactly was that like when you first got into it? Because you're OG now, you're a vet now, you've been in this for a minute, but what was it like when you first were starting?
Well, I always had an interest in learning.
Okay.
And I think I have a servant's heart.
Okay.
So it was easy for me to start working with people with special needs.
Nice.
But basically, I used to be, when I graduated from Michigan State University.
Okay.
Green and white.
Nice.
Smart and dogs.
Nice.
I went into casework and social work.
Okay.
And I worked for the city of Detroit. I'm a native Detroiter. That's a whole nother thing.
Nice. Shout out to Big Sean. Boy.
So I started off working with something called Children's Special Healthcare Services for the Detroit Health Department, and I was a caseworker.
Okay.
And those children that I work with were the children who were referred directly from the hospitals.
Nice.
They were children with usually with medical conditions. They were fragile, and they ended up being filtered over to us, and we provided services for the children and their family, which eventually got them into what's called early intervention, which was from birth 0 through 3, and then up to 5 years old, and that segued them into special education.
Okay.
So I just was working with all these families who had these children with needs, and I saw that there was a need. And I thought to myself, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a teacher, but I knew I wanted to work a little bit more closely and learn about teaching children with special needs. And so eventually I quit being a social worker, and I became a substitute teacher and teaching assistant in another school district. Right. And I just always stayed with special education. And I moved here to New York, and I do the same thing. And I work with a wide variety of, I've worked with a wide variety of ages and a wide variety of disabilities. And I actually have a niece now who is Down syndrome, who has Down syndrome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't know that you started this work in Detroit, and then it carried over into New York.
Yes.
Why exactly did you think for you it was so important to stay in the same field? Because a lot of people, when they leave from somewhere, they're looking actually for something new. You probably came to New York for a fresh start in other areas in your personal life, but in your profession, you stayed in the same field. Why was that important to you?
It's something that I love and I enjoy.
Okay.
And I really can't imagine doing anything else.
Oh, wow.
But servicing children with special needs.
Right.
That's it. Like that's really what I'm very interested in. That I'm not interested in corporate.
Okay.
I'm not interested in too many other things. And I enjoy the work, and I've learned so many life lessons working with people with special needs.
Wow. So being that you just said something about corporate, so let's dig deep into this world. So we know that I used to do poetry at a school called the Henry Viscardi School. It's one of the few schools out here in New York State, specifically in Long Island, that actually deal with children who are paraplegic and children who have special needs. So I was doing a poetry workshop for the young people there, courtesy of an organization started by our good brother Dylan Brown, aka D Brown Poetry. So he all got me and a few other poets to do poetry for the kids. It was like a 6, 7, 8 week workshop with young people that were in 11th grade going to 12th grade. And it was amazing to be a part of that world, literally going to a classroom every day. Young people who cannot walk themselves, who have to literally be confined to a wheelchair. Young people who walk, disfigured. Young people who can't even talk. And they have to use a computer to actually compute what they're trying to say. It was definitely a blessing. So I know how serious and how hard that work is, especially for the people on the inside. So can you tell us, how hard is it to get a young person to comprehend what you're trying to teach? Especially if it's a young person that is actually trying to get what you're trying to say, but the in terms of the process, what is the process of trying to teach a lesson? Like give us a regular day of what Valeah does in the classroom and how hard that is.
I think that now we're getting into something I wasn't expecting to talk about now. But here's the thing about when you're working in special education, when you're dealing with someone with special needs, it's really not about what I'm trying to get them to do. Okay. And I think that the way our educational system is designed, it is about, reaching these milestones, doing all these different things that getting students to do what we want them to do, what we think they should do. Right. It's a little different when you're dealing with someone with special needs. Okay. Which is why they have IEPs, individual education plans. Right. It's about us catering our services to them so that they can do what they need to do, not so that they can pass some test or anything like that. It's about them. Right. So for me, it's always about getting them to communicate for themselves, not because I'm trying to teach them a lesson. So for instance, it takes a lot of I'm a teaching assistant. I'm not a teacher, so it's a little bit different. But for me, I think it's important to really observe the student's behavior, observe what they're trying to do, the nonverbals as well as the verbals if they can verbalize, body language, things like that, especially for someone who can't communicate. Right. But then also, trying to figure out what can I give them to assist them so that they can do what they need to do. Because the first thing that they have to be able to do, not the first thing, but one of many things, is they have to be able to advocate for themselves in some type of way. And that could be, advocating could be, I gotta go to the bathroom. Advocating could be, I'm not feeling well. They need to be able to communicate that. So what I often would have done, and it's a little different now because I work with a different population, but use a communication device. A communication device could be something as simple as a telephone. It could be a picture symbol. PEC symbols is what they call them. Picture exchange communication system. I don't think of it as being difficult. I just think this is something that needs to be done. I just see this. Let me try this. Right. It's not for me, it's not this big process. Okay. However, when you're dealing with behavioral issues, that becomes more of a process because you have to kind of get through the behavior, figure out why they're behaving the way that they behave, create some interventions so that we can deal with the behavior so that we can get to the learning and the communication part. So that's pretty much. Has the curriculums that you've been given as a teaching assistant, has it been working? Well, what do you mean when you say curriculum? This is special education. Right. So is there a curriculum set in place to teach this, or is this off the fly? There are curriculums set in place based on standards that the state and the city, the state and the government says that we have to do. Now, does it work? I think it can work if it's functional for that particular student. But again, this is individualized when you're dealing with special education. So the Common Core math that a lot of third graders are learning, or whatever grade, because it's a little different in special education. Is that going to be functional for a student who's 15 years old who can barely read? You have to think about it like that. Okay. So there is a curriculum in place. We do lesson plans and things of that sort. But at the end of the day, when I'm one-on-one and I'm eyeball to eyeball with the student, it's about making it as functional as possible for them. So I'm a teaching assistant. I can say this. I don't really care about curriculums. Okay. Because that's not functional. That may not necessarily be functional for that particular student. Right. So
do you work more closely with the students, or do you work closely with the students and the teachers in the classroom at the same time?
It's all a collective. We're our own individual community in our classroom.
So you can probably speak about this, and we will throughout the season. We will actually have teachers who have been teaching for 15, 20 years in the school system to actually give their point of view on it. But I want to hear from you first, being that we have you here. So what exactly do you think is hindering, generally speaking, the public school system when it comes to trying to teach our young people, the young people that are having a hard time, and also the young people who are making it hard for themselves? Because there are people that's trying to help, but then there's things around them that's hindering them from really, getting, getting the lesson or getting the things that they need. So, for example, I'm from Southside Jamaica, Queens. When I was going to public school, you're trying to be focused in the classroom and trying to learn from your teacher or the teacher's assistant, but then you have a young person who's cursing, or you have a young person throwing things in the classroom, and it's making it hard for the teacher to do the lesson. And then you have young people who are threatening the teachers' lives. We see social media. Things are getting beyond out of control. I mean, I thought it was bad when I was going to school, and I'm only 29. It's worse for a young person going to school now. They're in 2nd grade. So can you speak to that?
Well, interesting. There's a situation that just happened recently that I've been more witness to. What I have learned over the years, and I'm looking at a situation thinking about a situation that's going on right now. There are a lot of external factors that go into a child's learning.
Right.
But I do feel like teachers in the education system, we tend to bear the burden, the heaviest. And there's no accountability for what goes on outside of the classroom. You don't know what a kid is coming to school having dealt with that morning.
Right. From home.
Or from wherever it is that they're coming from.
Right. Could be right off the street.
I've literally seen a student get dropped off by ACS, and we didn't even know that student was in the building. And mad attitude, like mad energy, negativity, all kind of things going on that could affect the learning environment. So I think the first thing is that we have to be aware that there are always some external factors going on. Again, I don't think that's being accounted for when we think about the things that's going on in the education system.
Okay.
But also for the things that we are dealing with once they are in our building, there are, protocols, procedures in place, and, there's a hierarchy, of how you're supposed to deal with things. And so sometimes you feel like your hands are tied.
Right.
Something like that. That's real. I've learned to have to disconnect my emotions from certain things. It's not always easy.
Okay. Self-detachment.
You have to detach. You have to detach emotionally. You have to compartmentalize. And then you just kind of have to think about the bigger picture and all these other factors. I think especially if you're a teacher who's a parent. I'm not a parent. But if you're a teacher who's a parent, I think that they think about it in a totally different way. They think about it from a parental perspective.
Right.
And they're like, okay, where did this kid sleep last night?
Right.
Did they have breakfast this morning? Was the school bus late? Was the cab late?
Right.
Was the city bus late?
Right.
Maybe mom wasn't there. Maybe dad wasn't there. Maybe whoever their guardian wasn't there. There are all these other factors. Like hunger alone could be a huge factor.
Right.
And that's a huge issue for a lot of children, especially here in New York. Hunger is just a huge issue.
Yeah.
Which is why we feed them twice a day. They get breakfast and lunch twice a day.
Wow.
That's a huge, because your brain can't function without food and fuel. So I think that we have to think about all these other external factors, and we have to take our emotions out of it. And you also have to kind of, figure out, help that child communicate whatever it is that's going on with them. Sometimes it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen all the time. They're going to just vent and there's no reason, no rhyme, no rationale, and they just got to work through it, and we have to be there for them and support them as best we can between 8:10 a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m.
That is a long day.
It is a long day. And it's not just that one student you're dealing with. You're dealing with all the other ones, but that student doesn't care about that. It's about them in that moment. And so, I know the team that I work with right now, we tag team a lot. You know, so one person will deal with this for a little bit, and when they're kind of exhausted from it, or they've exhausted all their resources or their ability to deal with it, you know, we tag team and the next person works with them until we can figure it out. And we're on the phone with administration, we're on the phone with the counselors, you know, the counselor's on the phone with whoever, you know, the guardian is. Like, that's how we do take a team approach. We try to take a team approach with everything.
Wow. That's a lot. So I'm actually very interested in learning what our viewers are taking from this, especially people who are trying to get into this line of work. From the looks of it, it doesn't sound like it's that easy. It sounds like you really have to be in a mental space to really get it, you know, especially when in terms of separating how you feel versus what you actually have to do. Because you have a job at the end of the day.
And I also want to add, like, because we work with a lot of student teachers,
okay,
and I always tell them this is not stuff that they teach you in the book.
Oh.
All the time.
Okay.
I tell them, like, yeah, and it could be something not even dramatic. Right. It could just be something they're just like, oh my goodness. Like, yeah, they don't put that in the book. You're not going to learn that, which is why you're a student teacher, so that you can get hands-on experience.
Right.
Because that's not what they're going to teach you in the book.
Right.
Anyway.
So do you think it's because they're trying to set them up, or do you...
Absolutely not. Okay. No, this is not one of those things where you read a book, you take a test, and you got it.
Right.
No, you got to get your hands dirty.
Right.
And I'm a personal believer that newer teachers, they need to be in really tough situations so that they can become better teachers long term. That's just my personal belief. Is
this line of work for everybody?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not for someone who's not empathetic. You have to have patience, and you have to be someone who really wants to see people do well. Because it's going to look different for someone who has special needs than it's going to be for someone who doesn't. Right. But you have to want to see them achieve and do well at the best of their ability. Right. And you have to be committed to that. It's not always easy. I do hear a lot, though. I don't deal with as much paperwork right now, but paperwork is a huge issue. And the complaint that I hear a lot is that we're so focused on paperwork. And my friends who are teaching in general ed, they're so focused on testing that they don't get a chance to teach the way that they want. Wow. In addition to having to deal with all these other factors. So that's the huge complaint that I hear. People really do want to teach more. But the system is set up now where it's all about what's on paper, what's documented.
They want to see receipts.
They want to see receipts. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I also feel like that holds educators accountable.
Yeah, it's just data,
Right, it's data, and it's also showing that you're doing your due diligence to help that student achieve the goal that's on their IEPs.
What you start in January, they want to see how it ended in June. They want to see that, you know. So with that being said, switching gears a little bit. So outside of doing that, because that's your bread and butter.
It is my
at the moment. You have another baby that you've been building steadily on social media. If I might add, I've had firsthand at the beginning stages of it. We've had a few conversations about it, and there's some things that she's taken and she's ran with it, and then there's some stuff that she's working on it. So can you tell us a little bit about what V's Vault is?
Okay.
What is that?
V's Vault is
and just with that smile, with V's Vault, that
V's Vault is it's basically a brand that I'm building. Okay. I'm still new to this branding thing. Okay. But basically, my goal, I've always just wanted to make women in particular feel beautiful, feel empowered. And I have had several ventures over the years, probably, I can't even count how many. But for me, it always boiled down to making women feel beautiful and empowered. I choose to do so through things like makeup and skincare. But I started branching into some other things, and I'm like, I'm a woman of a certain age in a certain quadrant of her life, and I'm really starting to kind of find my voice. And I know I'm a late bloomer. I feel like I'm a late bloomer. I probably am. I know that there are other women out there who are like me, who are late bloomers.
They're watching this.
Women who are over 40, who are finding themselves, kind of reconnecting to themselves, really focusing on self-love, self-care, empowerment, and health, and things of that sort. So basically, V's Vault, with the encouragement of Distinguish, It's basically it's a brand for women who are 40 and above who just want to feel beautiful and empowered. And I share on there a little bit, like I share a lot of inspirational quotes.
Yes, you do.
Because that's a huge thing for me right now. I need affirmations all the time. I'm a believer in affirmations. And I believe that's a way for us to pour into each other. So I share a lot of affirmations. But I also am starting to share things like my lipstick that I wear. If I really take a really good selfie, like I'm posting a selfie now. But I'm also branching more into things like my health, my weight loss journey, because that's something I struggle with. I have some health issues, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out here who is dealing with that.
Right.
And also, my hair.
I love it.
I'm dealing with my natural hair journey, and that's something that I'm sharing right now as well. So the brand that I've partnered with is a company called Synergence, and they sell phenomenal skincare and cosmetics, long-wearing, long-lasting lipsticks that don't, smear or smudge, long-wearing eye makeup, phenomenal skincare that actually works. And I'm just excited about that. Right. So that's what is happening on social media. Right. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered. Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
So I want to know exactly what made you say this is the company that I'm going to partner with versus all the others, and then also say I'm going to actually stick to this because I think this is what women of my age group, of my quadrant want to hear and want to hear now. Okay.
So I have been dealing with makeup and skincare for a long time. I've just always been like obsessed with it. I don't consider myself a makeup artist. I'm not a makeup artist. I am a makeup lover. And I will use a lot of different brands.
But you have been doing tutorials now on a few things, especially lipstick. I've been seeing that a lot. Like,
just a little bit.
Wow,
just a little bit. But the reason why I partnered with Synergence, I first learned about Synergence 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I feel like I saw it like on YouTube or someplace on social media. And I was obsessed because these women were wearing bright red lipstick and it just wasn't moving. It wasn't budging.
When you say moving, what do you mean?
It doesn't move. Like it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't smudge.
It lasts. It doesn't smudge. It doesn't smear. It's waterproof. It's kiss-proof. The only thing that it might not be is oil proof, and like I only know that if I eat salad.
Okay.
When I put salad dressing or something on it. But anyway, wow. I in my 40s have started to wear bright red lipstick.
In your 40s, you don't even look like you're 40. Wow.
Thank you so much. That's the skincare.
She's doing a lot.
Skincare.
You guys got to catch up.
So I started wearing bright red lipstick. Now I wear blue. I might wear black now. I never would have done that before.
Wow.
But red lipstick in particular, it caught my eye because red lipstick will get on your teeth. It gets everywhere. It really does. And so I just saw these videos and I was like, let me do some Googling. So I was Googling a lot at that time and I was learning a little bit more about this company, the founder of the company, what she's all about, and her history. But also I saw like two friends of the thousands of friends and these are people I actually know, not just social media friends, but two of my friends on Facebook, they actually were using this particular lipstick. So I'm like, I'm inboxing, I'm texting, and we're getting information. And then I had to find a representative. There's not a lot of representation for this particular brand in the tri-state area. So the person who I was buying from is like all the way in Oklahoma. Wow. So anyway, I started buying the products and I fell in love with the lipstick, and then eventually I started buying other products and some of the skincare, and I just decided I want to partner with this company. Like I love the product. I loved how my skin felt. I love how my skin feels. I love how it looks. I love how the product wears. I get a lot of compliments on it. And then I'm finding that, other women were starting to hear about it, but they can never tell me who their salesperson is. So I'll be your consultant. I'll do it for you. And that's just how I got into it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to really, I signed up, but I signed up for the discount, which is what I've tended to do with other direct sales businesses that I've tried. But I always sign up for the discount. And then all of a sudden, I start having customers. So that's how I've decided to just kind of focus my energy on this particular brand.
Wow. And has it been working for you?
It has been working. It has been slow.
Okay.
I'm still figuring out social media and
Right.
things like that. I do need to connect a lot more because I don't want to just limit myself to social media. I think
Right.
that that's a huge issue. I want to get out there a little bit more and meet more people. And as you have told me, I need to post more.
Right.
I need to share more. I
Right.
need to get out here and connect more.
Yeah, you need to go to these events.
I need to start going to events. I have done events in the past, not since I've been with Synergens.
Okay.
But I have done events in advance, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to some events this year.
Okay. So with that being said, is there anything else, because you're all about women empowerment, you're like a big energy ball that's trying to reach as much people as possible so that when they actually see what you're about, they embody that and then they carry that on as well. They just give that type of light and that type of beam to the next person. Is there anything you want to say right now to somebody? There's probably a lot of people watching this right now. Somebody out there right now is like, I don't know if I can do what she's doing at my age. I'm in her age group. I'm in her quadrant. I'm feeling the way she's feeling. They're probably even in the same profession and they don't know how to do the work-life balance. Like there's a lot of companies out there that they don't have a proper work balance, but it seems like you figured it out in terms of, you know, that you have your job, but you're able to differentiate what you're doing at your job versus what you're trying to do for yourself. So is there anything you want to tell
I don't know if there's necessarily balance, but there is compartmentalizing.
Well, for me, there's balance.
There's balance.
I'm able to do this, then I'm able to still do my 9 to 5 and, you know, still run my other business ventures and, you know, still have time to go out and go to different states, because I think we all, at some point in time, we have to figure out what we want to do for the rest of our lives versus what we're doing right now to sustain what we're trying to do for the rest of our lives. You can have a 9 to 5 and that's cool, sweet, fine, and dandy. But if you're not using the 9 to 5 to fuel your passion and you're steadily complaining about what it is that you want to do, you weren't doing what you had to do when you had the job. And then when it's all said and done, now you're mad and complacent or you're disgruntled because you're watching somebody else do what you were thinking about this entire time.
You just said it. You don't need me saying
I mean, I need you to say it because
Okay.
there's women out there who want to hear it and see it from another woman.
So here's what I would say. Make a decision. That's it. I've spent a lot of time being indecisive, which is probably part of the reason why I've been a late bloomer. And I think we do that because we're always second guessing ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people have these ideas and they see someone else doing it, it's not so much that they are hating, if you will, on the person who's doing it. It's just that they're thinking, you know, I'd second guess myself.
Right.
The other thing that I would say is make that decision. And don't think about what anyone else is doing. Don't think about what anyone else has to say. I spent a lot of time in my 20s and my 30s worried about what someone else was going to say. Thinking that the people who would support me, who love me,
Right.
would support me in these ventures. And they mean well, but they may not necessarily support you. You have to just have it within yourself. You make the decision and you have it within yourself that this is what I'm going to do. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Just stay focused on whatever it is that you're going to do. And don't overthink it. That's another thing that I would tell someone who wants to, and it could be anything. It could be this venture. It could be going back to pursue your education. It could be losing weight. All these other things. Just stay focused. Don't get distracted. And there are going to be a lot of distractions that come along. Just don't get distracted. You know, deal with it and go back to what it is that you're dealing with, that you're focused on. And so I feel like that is a huge difference for me now than when I tried other things back in the day.
Okay.
I'm just much more focused on it. I'm enjoying it. I'm not overthinking it. And I'm also not, I'm detaching myself from the outcome. Like I have a vision for myself, where it's going to go and what it's going to do for myself and for other people who come along with me. But I'm more focused on the work and less focused on the outcome, because it's going to happen. What's going to happen is supposed to happen.
Right.
So that's what I would tell someone who is interested in anything that you're trying to pursue. And the other thing is to do it, you know, have a vision, you know, live your life with vision, grace, style, and vision, faith, style, and grace.
Right.
Have your vision. Stay faithful. If you believe in higher being, you know, believe that the Creator is going to help you get to what it is that you're trying to do. Do it with style. You know, it's okay to have a little flair in whatever it is that you're going to do. Sometimes I think if you're someone who likes makeup, you're really into hair, you're really into fashion or anything like that, people think you're being extra.
Right, they think
be
you're being
extra.
bougie, right?
Being bougie, being extra.
Be bougie, try.
Be you. I mean, it's not even so much that you're being bougie. Just be you, do you. Have
right.
your own sense of style. And when I say do things with grace,
right.
be gracious in everything that you do. Treat people well. People will treat you well. Karma is a mug.
Right.
So
pray for your food before you eat it.
For sure.
Pray for it.
So, but that's what I would say.
Okay.
You know.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with Tea Time with Distinguished. Before we go, please let the people know where they can find you, how they can support V's Vaults.
All social platforms at V's Style Vault. VSSTYLEVAULT. I'm heavy on Instagram. I'm building up my Facebook page, and that's about it.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Miss Valeah, Miss VJK. And remember, guys, to always sip wisely.